That was the moment everything cracked open. The summer I came back to Willow Creek, Iowa, after 5 years of dodging the ghosts of home. I'd fled to Chicago after college, chasing a graphic design gig that paid just enough to keep the lights on in a shoebox apartment overlooking the L tracks. But Dad's heart attack 6 months ago yanked me back like a fishhook in the gut. Funeral, estate papers, the old Victorian house sagging under vines and regret. Mom was already gone to cancer 3 years prior, so it was just me rattling around in that echoey place, sorting through boxes of Dad's life. Faded Cubs tickets, tool belt stiff with rust, letters from his days as a union welder in the steel mills. Ronan had shown up unannounced a week in, his pickup truck crunching gravel in the drive like it owned the place. He was Dad's oldest friend, 52 to my 26, broad-shouldered from years hauling lumber at the local mill, with a beard gone silver at the edges and eyes the color of storm clouds. They'd grown up together in Willow Creek, thick as thieves through high school football, Vietnam protests, and the 80s recession that gutted the town. Ronan had been at the funeral, standing stone still in the back pew, but I barely registered him then. Now, here he was, offering to help clear out the attic, his calloused hands steady where mine shook. At first, it was innocent. Passing tools, sharing a beer on the porch as cicadas screamed into the humid dusk. He'd tell stories about Dad, the kind that made me laugh until my sides ached. How they'd snuck into the drive-in to watch Star Wars bootleg, or hot-wired a tractor for a joyride that ended with them knee-deep in cornstalks. "Your old man was a force," Ronan would say, his voice dipping low, a half-smile tugging his lips. "Taught me how to throw a punch and mean it." I'd nod, grateful for the tether to the father I'd lost to long shifts and quiet withdrawals. The man who'd hug me fierce but never quite met my eyes when I came out in high school. But then the look started. Subtle at first. A glance held a beat too long while I stretched to dust a cobweb, his eyes tracing the line of my jaw like he was memorizing it. Or when I'd catch him in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, watching me chop onions for dinner with an intensity that made my skin prickle. It wasn't paternal, not anymore. It was hunger, raw and unspoken. The kind that simmers in dive bars and backroad motels. The kind I'd known in fleeting hookups in Chicago but never here, in the heartland where queerness was whispered like a curse. One evening, after a day wrestling Dad's antique desk down the stairs, sweat-soaked shirts clinging, laughter turning to grunts, we collapsed on the living room rug with a six-pack between us. The TV flickered some cop show rerun, but neither of us watched. Ronan cracked his third beer, foam spilling over his knuckles, and fixed me with that stare again. "Eli," he said, slow as molasses, "you ever wonder why your dad pulled away those last years? After your mom? After everything?" I shrugged, the question a familiar ache. Dad had grown distant post-mom's diagnosis, burying himself in overtime, coming home smelling of bourbon and mill smoke. "Grief," I muttered. "Or maybe he just didn't know how to be a widower." Ronan shook his head, shadows playing across his face. "Nah, it was more than that. Secrets have a way of eating a man alive." He paused, thumb tracing the bottle label like it held the words he couldn't say. That night, as thunder rolled in from the plains, he didn't elaborate. But the air between us thickened, charged like the ozone before a twister. The next morning, I found the photo tucked in a cigar box under Dad's work shirts. Yellowed edges, two young men arm in arm at a county fair, grins wide under trucker hats, the Ferris wheel blurred in the background. Dad on the left, Ronan on the right. But it was the inscription on the back that stopped my breath. "To my Ronan, nights like this make forever feel possible."
D. 84.
My hands trembled as I slipped it into my pocket. The attic suddenly too close, dust motes dancing like accusations. Downstairs, Ronan was at the sink, sleeves rolled up, scrubbing a skillet from breakfast. Water ran hot and steady, steam rising. I stood in the doorway, the photo burning against my thigh. "What the hell is this?" I said, voice cracking as I slapped it on the counter. He froze, suds dripping from his elbows, eyes locking on the faded ink. The color drained from his face, leaving him ashen as old newsprint.
Eli.
"Where'd you?" "Doesn't matter. My Ronan? What were you to him? Exactly. The words tasted bitter, like accusations I'd swallowed for years. Dad's silences, his flinches at touch, the way he'd burned letters in the backyard fire pit when I was a kid. Ronan shut off the faucet, the drip-drip echoing like a heartbeat. He dried his hands on a dish towel, movements deliberate, then met my gaze, raw, unguarded, the storm in his eyes breaking wide. "We were everything," he whispered. "And nothing. Your dad, Daniel. He was the love of my life." The kitchen tilted, the world narrowing to that confession, hanging between us like smoke from a spent fuse. Daniel. That's what the inscription said. D for Daniel, not David like everyone called him after Mom. A hidden name for a hidden heart. He led me to the porch then, away from the house's listening walls, the rain starting up again in fat, lazy drops. We sat on the swing Dad had built when I was 5, creaking under our weight. Ronan lit a cigarette, Marlboros, the same brand Dad snuck, and exhaled slow, the cherry glowing like a distant taillight. We met in 78, freshman at the community college. He was all fire, protesting the war, quoting Dylan, dreaming of union halls and better days. I was the quiet one, fixing engines, keeping my head down 'cause my folks would have skinned me alive if they knew I liked boys. I leaned forward, elbows on knees, the photo clutched in my fist. "And you fell for him. Harder than gravity." His laugh was a rasp, self-mocking. First kiss was in the back of his Chevy, parked by the quarry. Tasted like cherry coke and rebellion. We kept it secret. Hell, in Willow Creek, 2 queers holding hands was a one-way ticket to the unemployment line or worse. But those summers, God, Eli, we stole what we could. Weekends in Des Moines motels, drives to the Mississippi bluffs where no one knew our names. The rain picked up, drumming the tin awning, but his voice cut through clear, painting pictures I'd never imagined. Dad, Daniel, young and alive, laughing under starlit skies, hands intertwined with Ronan's in the cab of a truck radio blaring Springsteen. It humanized him, this man I'd idolized as stoic provider, now revealed as a dreamer caged by fear. "But Mom," I pressed, the word a knife twist. "How'd that happen?" Ronan stubbed out his smoke, grinding it under his boot. "She was light in the dark. Met her at a diner in 85. Your dad was spiraling, guilt eating him after a close call where a buddy almost caught us. Sarah, your mom. She saw the broken in him, patched it with her smile. They married quick, had you 2 years later. I bowed out, moved to Dubuque for a spell, tried to forget. But Daniel, he never stopped writing. Those letters you saw? Lifelines." I swallowed hard, the swing swaying gentle. He loved her, though. I saw it. In the way he held her hand at my games, how he'd dance with her in the kitchen to old records. He did. Fierce. But love's not a zero-sum, Eli. He loved us both, in different skins. When she got sick, it broke him all over again. That's why he pulled away. Couldn't face the lies he'd built his life on. The confession hung there, heavy as the humidity, and in that vulnerability, something shifted between us. Ronan's hand brushed mine on the swing chain. Accidental, then not, and heat bloomed where our skin met, electric as a live wire. I didn't pull away, couldn't, because in his eyes, I saw not just Dad's ghost, but a mirror of my own hidden aches. The boys I'd loved and lost in Chicago, the fear of coming home queer in a town that still crossed the street. That night, sleep evaded me, the house groaning like it mourned with me. I tossed in the attic room, sheets tangled, mind replaying Ronan's words. By dawn, resolve hardened. I needed more. The full story, unvarnished. So I drove to the Old Mill District, where Ronan lived in a shotgun house overlooking the Cedar River. Peeling blue paint, chain-link fence sagging with honeysuckle. He was in the yard when I pulled up, shirtless in the heat, splitting logs with an axe that gleamed wicked. Sweat traced the ridges of his back, muscles coiling like springs. He paused mid-swing, axe buried in the stump, and turned, wary, but with that undercurrent pull. Couldn't sleep either, huh? We ended up inside, coffee black as tar, photos spread across his scarred oak table like evidence in a trial. Ronan talked for hours, voice steadying as he unspooled the reel. Their last real weekend in '92. A stolen cabin in the Ozarks where they'd vowed to leave it all behind. Jobs, town, pretense. But Dad chickened out, the weight of fatherhood anchoring him. I hated him for it, Ronan admitted, fingers tracing a snapshot of them fishing at dawn. But I understood. You were his world, Eli. That little league coach routine? All for you. Tears pricked my eyes then, not from betrayal, but gratitude. For the father pieced together from fragments. And Ronan, watching him now, the lines etched by time, I felt it stir. Attraction, sharp and unbidden. The way his laugh rumbled low, how his hand steadied on my shoulder when grief choked me. It was wrong. Taboo. A echo of their sin. But alive, pulsing with the romance I'd starved for in anonymous apps and bar stools. As the afternoon waned, sunlight slanting gold through lace curtains, I leaned in, impulse or destiny, and pressed my lips to his. Soft at first, tentative, tasting salt and sorrow. He stiffened, then melted, hand cupping my neck, the kiss deepening like a river current pulling us under. It wasn't fire. It was hearth warm, sustaining. A bridge across the chasm Dad's secrets had carved. But secrets breed shadows. That betrayal, the one Dad carried, mirrored in us now, fragile and fraught. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. The world outside fading to river murmur and distant train whistles. Ronan's breath ragged against my cheek, his thumb brushing my lip like he couldn't believe it real.
Eli.
We can't. You're Daniel's son, I finished, the name a talisman and a curse. Pulling back, I searched his face. Storm eyes turbulent, jaw clenched against the tide. But I'm not him, and you're not the kid who let him go. He stood abrupt, chair scraping linoleum, pacing to the window where the river churned lazy bends. You think I don't see it? The way you move, that damn half-smile. It's him staring back every time. But yeah, it's you too. Fiercer. And that scares the hell out of me. His voice cracked, vulnerability cracking the gruff exterior I'd always known. I rose, closing the distance, hands on his arms, solid as oak, warm under my palms. Then let's be scared together. No hiding this time. The words tumbled out, bold as a dare, born from years of swallowing my own truths. The high school crush on the quarterback that ended in a black eye. The college boyfriend who ghosted when family came calling. Here, with Ronan, it felt possible. A love not stolen in shadows, but claimed in daylight. He turned, cupping my face, kiss reigniting softer now, exploratory. We sank to the couch, bodies aligning in unhurried grace. His hand tracing my spine, mine threading his hair, whispers of weight, and yes, mingling with the tick of his wall clock. It was romance distilled. Eyes locked, breath synced, the quiet poetry of two souls recognizing home. But Willow Creek wasn't Chicago. Whispers traveled faster than floods here. By week's end, as we fell into rhythm, mornings chopping with side by side, evenings on his porch with takeout from the diner, eyes followed. At the co-op, Mrs. Hargrove's stare lingered over her gossip rag. At the gas station, Old Man Jenkins muttered about that queer mill hand corrupting the boy. I shrugged it off, buoyed by Ronan's steady presence. The way he'd squeeze my knee under the truck dash. A secret language of touch. Yet doubt gnawed. One night, post-dinner, his chili spicy as sin. We lay tangled on his bed, sheets rumpled, just talking. What if Dad knew? I murmured, head on his chest, heartbeat a lullaby under my ear. About us. Ronan stiffened, fingers stilling in my hair. He'd hate me, or himself. We were poison, Eli, beautiful but toxic. I won't do that to you. The words landed like frost, cooling the warmth. I sat up, moonlight silvering the room. We're not them. We get to rewrite it. His silence stretched. Then he pulled me close. Maybe, but secrets. They find a way out. They did, vicious as barbed wire. It started small. An anonymous note slipped under my door at the house. Blood don't lie. Keep the family name clean. I crumpled it, chalked it to small-town bigotry. But Ronan saw my face and knew. "Show me," he demanded. And when he read it, fury flashed, jaw tight, fists balled. "This is Harlan's doing. Your dad's old foreman. Caught wind of our friendship back then. Always sniffing for dirt. Harlan Voss. Bull-necked relic, union buster who'd blackballed Dad in the 90s for adjutant. Now retired, he held court at the VFW, nursing grudges like cheap whiskey. Ronan wanted to confront him, fists first, but I held him back. Words, not blows. We're better than that. We drove to the VFW that Saturday, gravel spitting under tires, the lot packed with pickups flying faded flags. Inside, smoke-hazed air thick with fry grease and regret. Harlan held forth at the bar. Paunch spilling over belt, laugh booming. Ronan strode up, me a step behind, the room hushing like a held breath. "Voss?" Ronan growled, voice cutting the din. "Got a note from a coward. Ring any bells?" Harlan's eyes narrowed, flicking to me. Speculative, sour. "Oliadi. And the prodigal pup. What's this? Daddy's ghost teach you to sniff around old dogs." The bar stilled, stools creaking as heads turned. Heat flooded my face, but Ronan didn't flinch. "Leave the boy out. This is between us. Like always." Harlan leaned in, breath rank. "Always? Like when you and Dan played house while his wife scrubbed your sins." Town knew Ronan. Just waited for the fruit to ripen. His gaze raked me, implication slimy. "Looks like it did." Murmurs rippled. "Queer? O'Leary too?" And my stomach nodded, betrayal sharp as the note's edge. Not just Ronan's past spilling, but mine dragged into the muck. I grabbed his arm. "We're done here." Outside, rain lashed the lot, us dashing to the truck soaked and seething. He punched the dash, knuckles splitting. "God damn it. I knew." "Stop." I yanked the wheel straight, voice steel. "He wants us running. We face it." But facing meant digging deeper. Back home, I pored over Dad's boxes anew. Letters, not burned ones, hidden in a floorboard safe. Dozens. Ronan's script slanted and urgent. "Miss your laugh in the dark. Come to me." Dad's replies, type stiff. "Can't risk it. Eli needs stability." One from '03, post-mom's remission scare. "I dream of us free. But freedom's a lie for men like us." Tears blurred the ink, grief and rage twisting. Dad had chosen safety over soul, leaving us both adrift. I confronted Ronan that night, letters fanned like cards. "You knew," he wrote back. "All those years." He sank to the kitchen chair, head in hands. "Yeah, and I let him. Thought it was mercy." "Mercy?" I hurled a letter, voice breaking. "It was cowardice. For both of you. He died with that weight, and now it's crushing me." Ronan looked up, eyes shattered glass. "Then leave, Eli, before I drag you under too." The words gutted me, deeper than Harlan's sneer. I stormed out into the night, truck keys jangling, driving blind through sheets of rain. Miles blurred, fields endless, radio static, until I pulled over on a bridge spanning the Cedar, water roiling black below. Sobs racked me, not just for Dad, but for this fragile thing with Ronan, teetering on the same cliff. Hours later, dawn breaking bloody, I turned back. His house dark, truck gone, mill shift probably. Inside, the letters gone, table bare. Panic clawed, he'd run like Dad. But a note on the fridge, his scrawl. "Meet me at the quarry. Truth time." The quarry, their spot, now ours? Heart hammering. I sped there, dust clouding the dirt road. Ronan waited at the edge, flannel whipping in wind, overlooking the flooded pit where teens still skinny dipped on dares. He turned as I approached, face etched with resolve. "I burned them," he said, no preamble. "The letters can't live in echoes." Relief warred with fury. "And us?" Another echo to torch. He stepped close, wind tugging his collar.
No.
"Us is new. But it needs air, truth, all of it." Then, halting, he spilled the rest. The night in '95 when Dad confessed everything to Mom. Her tears, the pact to stay for me. How Ronan had married briefly. A cover that crumbled in divorce to quiet rumors. The guilt that hollowed him after Dad's attack, knowing he'd die without absolution. "I love you," he said finally, voice raw over the wind. Not as a stand-in. As Eli, the artist with ink-stained fingers, the kid who fixed my truck radio to play jazz. But if that's not enough. I kissed him then, fierce against the gale, sealing the vow. Love, messy and mended, rising from ashes. But climax loomed, betrayal's shadow lengthening. Harlan wasn't done. 2 weeks blurred in tentative bliss. Ronan and I carving space amid the wreckage. Mornings, I'd sketch at his kitchen table, charcoal smudging designs for a Chicago pitch, while he brewed coffee strong enough to wake the dead. Afternoons, we'd hike the bluffs, hands brushing trailside, sharing silences that spoke volumes. Evenings, porch swings and stories. His first queer bar in Iowa City. My disastrous prom date with a girl who clocked me mid-waltz. It was romance in the American grain. Gritty, resilient, laced with diner pie and drive-in dreams. Yet Willow Creek pressed in, a pressure cooker of sidelong glances and hushed pews at St. Mary's. Father O'Malley pulled me aside after Mass. "Eli, lad, the town's talking. For your soul's sake." His hand heavy on my shoulder, eyes pitying. I nodded polite, but inside, rebellion simmered. This was my home. Damn it, cornfields and fireflies, the river's bend where Dad taught me to cast a line. Why exile myself again? Ronan felt it too, withdrawing into mill overtime, coming home bone-tired, excuses thin as smoke. "Just need to think," he'd mutter, avoiding my eyes over dinner. One night, after a VFW flyer circulated, "Protect our youth, rally against deviance," I snapped. "It's Harlan stirring shit. We fight back." His laugh was hollow, echoing off rafters. "Fight how? With what? This town's got roots deeper than hate. Eli, your dad tried. Unions, votes, and look where it got him. Whispers till the grave." The defeat in him stung, a echo of Dad's surrender. "So we hide? Like you did." He flinched, standing abrupt. "I hid to survive. You're young. Go back to the city. Find someone who doesn't carry my baggage." "Our baggage," I corrected, voice rising. "We're in this, Ronan." Or was that Corey kiss just pity? Thunder rolled distant, mirroring the storm between us. He reached for me, hand hovering, then dropped it. Never pity, but love. Sometimes it's letting go. I left then, slamming the door, driving to the old house. Mine now legally but haunted. Pacing the attic, boxes mocking, I unearthed Mom's journal. Leather-bound, tucked in her sewing kit. Pages yellowed, script looping graceful. Entries from 96, post-confession. "Dan came clean tonight. Ronan, the pain. But I see it now, the boy he loved before me. How do I hate what made him whole? For Eli will build on truths, not lies." Tears soaked the vellum, her grace a lantern in my rage. Mom had known, forgiven even, and chosen family over fracture. If she could, so could I. But Ronan? His walls were iron. Dawn found me at the mill gates, his shift ending. Workers streamed out, dust-caked, but no Ronan. Panic spiked. Gone? Then his truck rumbled up, him climbing out weary, overalls streaked.
Eli.
"What?" I thrust the journal at him. "Read this." Mom knew, and she stayed not out of fear but love. Real love. The kind that bends but doesn't break. He took it hesitant, flipping pages under the sodium lights, face crumpling as her words sank in. "Sarah. God." She was steel. Voice thick, he closed it gentle. "Doesn't change facts. Harlan's rallies tomorrow. Half the town's signed on. If we stand, it's torches and pitchforks. Your job in Chicago. Screw the job." I stepped close, defiant. "This is home. Your home. We face it together." His eyes searched mine, conflict warring, then softened, decision made. Together, then. The rally convened at the fairgrounds. Dusty arena ringed by bleachers, banners flapping limp. Family values first. Harlan on a makeshift stage, megaphone blaring scripture and slurs. Crowd 200 strong. Farmers, shopkeepers, faces I'd known since diapers. Ronan and I slipped in back, hands clasped hidden in pockets, hearts thudding tandem. He preached fire. Sodom sin creeping our streets. Old sins, new fruits. O'Leary blood, tainted twice. Murmurs swelled to jeers. My name a hiss on lips. Nausea roiled, but Ronan's grip steadied. Anchor in the swell. Then impulse seized me. I climbed the bleachers, voice cutting the din. Harlan! Enough lies. Heads whipped, shock rippling. You peddle hate to bury your own shame. What did Dad ever do but build this town? Unions you busted, families you broke. He faltered, megaphone trembling. Boy, sit down for you shame your pa more. Shame. I laughed bitter, pulling the old fair photo from my pocket, holding it high. This is Dad Daniel with his friend. Love pure as yours for that flask you hide. Willow Creek's better than your poison. Chaos erupted booze, applause fracturing the crowd. A bottle sailed, shattering at my feet. Ronan lunged, shielding me, arms sliced by flying glass. Enough! He roared, blood dripping, voice thunder. You want to lynch ghosts? Try living ones first. Harlan sputtered, but the tide turned. Neighbors shifting uneasy, a few nodding. Old Jenkins stood, boys right. Dan was salt of the earth. Murmurs built, deflating the venom. We retreated then, Ronan bleeding, me shaking, slipping into the dusk. In his truck, adrenaline crashing, I bandaged his arm by flashlight, gentle swipes, his free hand tracing my knuckles. You were brave, he murmured. Foolish but brave. You're brave? I whispered, leaning in, kiss salt tinged with blood and relief. But betrayal brewed deeper, not from Harlan, but blood. That night as we patched at his place. Stitches from the ER doc who'd sked but sewed quiet. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A voice message. Dad's foreman buddy from the funeral. Voice slurred. Eli, it's time you knew the rest. Your old man didn't just love Ronan, he betrayed him. Check the safe. For real this time. Chills spidered my spine. The safe Dad's floorboard one, I'd thought emptied. Heart pounding, I drove alone to the house. Ronan protesting. Wait! Need to see it myself. Flashlight beam danced attic shadows as I pried the board. Not empty. Envelope sealed, addressed Ronan if I go first. Inside, Dad's will. Not the public one probated, but a codicil. The house, mill shares, everything to Ronan. For the life we stole. Forgive me. Love, Daniel. And a letter. I lied to Sarah too. Not just the affair, but the end. Ronan, I chose her because I couldn't choose us. But in my heart, always you. Eli knows now? Tell him I'm sorry, for the silence that shaped him. Betrayal triplefold. Dad's final twist, disinheriting me for love's sake? Rage boiled. He'd played God with legacies, leaving me adrift while gifting Ronan absolution. I tore back to his house, codicil crumpling in my fist. What the fuck is this? He paled, reading by lamplight. I didn't know. He mentioned papers, but liar. The word exploded, years of abandonment fueling it. You two scheming even in death. Was I just collateral? Eli, no. He reached, but I recoiled. You let him die with that. And now, this gift. Pity money for your lost love. Tears hot, I backed toward the door. I'm done being the echo. Outside, night swallowed me. Truck roaring into void. Betrayal's blade twisted. Not just Dad's, but Ronan's silence. The complicity that bound them. Dawn broke as I reached the quarry edge. Tires crunching gravel. The pit a yawning scar. I sat on the hood, wind whipping, journal and codicil mocking from the dash. How to forgive what fractured everything. Phone buzzed. Ronan. Please, let me explain. I'm coming. His truck crested the hill minutes later, skidding to halt. He approached slow, hands open, face haggard. Eli, the codicil? He must have done it after the attack, hospital bed, delirious. Mailed it to his lawyer, separate. I swear, I never saw. I slid off the hood, arms crossed. Doesn't matter. It's the lie. All of it, your mercy. His stability. I was the chain, Ronan. The reason you both caged yourselves. He stepped closer, voice breaking. Wrong. You were the light. Daniel stayed for you, yeah. But he regretted it every breath. And me? I watched you grow, Eli, from afar at games, holidays. Proud as any uncle. But falling for you? That's not echo. That's miracle. Wind howled, but his words pierced truer. I searched his eyes. Storm cleared to blue, earnest. Prove it. No more secrets. He nodded, pulling a chain from under his shirt. Dad's wedding ring, engraved D and S forever. But inside, scratched faint. R2. Wore it for her memory. But this? For us all. Tears fell then, mine and his, mingling as I pulled him close. The kiss was catharsis. Salt and storm. Betrayal burned away in embrace. Below, the quarry water gleamed, reflecting sky's promise. We drove back entwined in silence, hands linked over gearshift. Willow Creek waited. Gossip mills grinding, Harlan's rally a dud. But we'd face it unbowed. Love, humanistic in its scars. Not erasure, but integration. Dad's story reshaped ours. Not to break, but to build. Healing wasn't linear. It zigzagged like the cedar's oxbows, looping back on itself. The codicil? Ronan's lawyer contested it quiet. Dad's public will stood. House mine, but with a twist. A trust for family legacies. Split between us. No courtroom drama, just a notary's nod and papers signed over coffee. The gesture Dad intended. Unity, not division. Town simmered post-rally. Harlan slunk to his ranch, megaphone mothballed, whispers turning to shrugs. Some doors stayed shut. The barber's curt nod, the grocer's averted eyes, but others cracked open. Mrs. Hargrove left pie on Ronan's stoop. Blueberry. For mending fences. Old Jenkins invited us to poker nights. Gruff. Dan'd want it. Willow Creek, stubborn as clay, bent slow toward acceptance. Humanity's quiet revolution, one cobbler at a time. For us, romance deepened in the mundane. Ronan teaching me axe work, splinters shared. Me dragging him to Chicago for a weekend, skyscrapers dwarfing his awe, my hand in his on the bean. Big as dreams, he'd murmur, but his eyes said I was bigger. Nights, we'd trace maps on skin. Fingers charting collarbones, whispers plotting futures. A studio for my art, mill co-op for his hands. A life woven from threads of past and present. But conflict lingered, insidious as rust. My Chicago job called, a promotion, corner office overlooking the loop, deadline looming. Come with me? I urged one autumn eve, leaves carpeting his yard like confetti. We could make it work. Visits, roots here for summers. He hesitated, rake pausing mid-sweep. City life's your canvas, Eli. I'm timber and soil. Roots run deep. The words echoed Dad's, a chill wind stripping warmth. Don't do this. Don't choose alone. I'm not. Just thinking. But his eyes shuddered, the old cage clanging shut. Doubt festered. Late October, I drove to the city solo. Scout apartments. I lied, needing space to breathe. Chicago swallowed me. Neon pulse, crowds anonymous, old haunts calling. At a Boys Town bar, I nursed a whiskey, sketching strangers, when a face from past materialized. Tyler, college ex, all easy charm and dimples.
Eli O'Leary, prodigal returns.
He slid onto the stool, cologne crisp, smile disarming. We talked hours, his ad gig, my designs, laughter flowing like shots. When he leaned in, lips brushing ear. Missed this. The pull was magnetic, escape from heartland weights. I went home with him, not bed, but couch collapse, talking till dawn. Tyler's world was light. No legacies, no quarries, just ambition and absolution. Morning, over coffee, he offered, stay. We were good, you and me. Temptation gnawed. A life unscarred, queer and celebrated. But as his hand grazed mine, Ronan's face surfaced. Storm eyes, calloused palm. The way he hummed Thunder Road off key. Betrayal beckoned, my own this time, running not to safety but selfishness. I left before he woke, driving south through Indiana Flats, radio blasting to drown regret. Willow Creek greeted with frost-rimed fields. Ronan's truck absent. Mill holiday party, he'd said. The house loomed empty, my sketches scattered like leaves. I paced, phone heavy. Tyler's text unread, doors open. Hours ticked, worry mounted. Past midnight, headlights swept the drive. Not Ronan's, but a squad car, lights off. Sheriff Klein stepped out, hat in hand, face grave.
Eli.
Ronan's hurt. Bar fight Harlan's boys. He's at mercy general. Ice-flooded veins. I followed, hospital halls blurring, antiseptic sting. Ronan in ER bay, lips split, ribs taped, eye swelling purple. Eli. He rasped, spotting me, hand extending. What happened? Clutched it, knuckles bruised. Words turned fists. Harlan cornered me. Poach another O'Leary? Swung first. His laugh wheezed. Told him to shove it. For us. Rage and relief collided. Idiot. You could've. Called you? Yeah. Gaze steady despite pain. Missed your voice. I stayed till dawn, dozing in vinyl chair, his snores a bomb. Morning light filtered blinds as Doc discharged him. Cracked rib, no internals. Driving home, his head lolled against window. I confessed. Almost didn't come back. Chicago pulled. An X easy out. He turned slow, wincing. And chose you. Messy as it is. Smile cracked his lip anew. Good. 'Cause I'm all in, no more half measures. Winter blanketed Willow Creek in white hush. Our love a hearth against it. Christmas. Tree strung with Dad's ornaments. Ronan's gift a leather journal. For your stories. Not his. Mine. A silver band. Plain. Engraved E and are now. He slipped it on, eyes misting. Fits. But climax crested New Year's. Betrayal's final lash. Package arrived, unmarked, postmarked Chicago. Inside. Tyler's letter. Forwarded unwitting? No photos, grainy. Me leaving his building. Dawn disheveled. Attached note. Harlan scrawl. Fruit don't fall far. Town knows now, really knows. Panic surged. How?
Surveillance?
Betrayal from within. Tyler's doorman. Paid off? Ronan found me staring, photos fanned. Son of a... Wait. I stood, stealing. No hiding. We own it. We called a town hall, firehouse, neutral ground. Flyers posted. O'Leary's and friends. A talk. 50 showed. Curious, hostile, hopeful. I spoke first, voice steady. These? Holding photos high. Me alive, loving. Like Dad loved Ronan. Secrets killed him slow. This won't. Ronan followed, arm in sling. Harlan's hate? It's fear. We all carry it. But family? That's choice, blood or chosen. Murmurs softened. Jenkins nodded. A woman diner waitress stood. My boy's queer too. Thanks for saying it. Applause scattered. Then swelled. Harlan absent but his shadow shrinking. After, in the snow-dusted lot, Ronan pulled me close. Proud of you, Eli. Daniel'd be too. Climax passed. Cathartic as spring thaw. Chicago. I negotiated remote. Designs from the Victorian sunroom. Visits quarterly. Ronan eyed co-op buy-in. Hands-free for more than lumber. Love matured. Arguments over dishes. Quiet nights reading by fire. The romance of endurance. Spring bloomed. Dogwoods pink against sky. One bluff hike. Ronan knelt sudden. Not proposal, but promise. Marry me? Not legal here yet, but in our hearts. Yes, I breathed. Ring exchanged under Hawk's wheeling. Humanistic close. Not fairy tale, but real scars honored. Secret seeds for growth. Dad's story reshaped ours into something luminous. A testament that love, in all its forms, redeems. Years folded like bellows, breathing life into the ordinary extraordinary. By summer's end, Willow Creek hosted its first Pride picnic, modest, under the fairgrounds oaks. Rainbow flags on picnic tables, potluck casseroles, a bluegrass band fiddling born this way. Ronan and I manned the grill, burgers sizzling, his laugh booming as kids chased frisbees. Harlan, spotted at the edge, arms crossed, but he nodded once, truce grudging. Progress inch by inch. My art flourished. A series, Echoes of the Cedar, charcoal portraits of queers in heartland guises. Farmers with pitchforks turned bouquets. Welders in aprons stitching flags. Galleries in Des Moines scooped them, one hanging in the Iowa State Capitol. Ronan beamed at openings, ill at ease in khakis but proud, whispering, "That's my man," to anyone who'd listen. Romance evolved, deepening grooves. Anniversaries at the quarry, picnics with wine and regrets aired like laundry. We'd dance slow in the kitchen to Mom's records. Ella Fitzgerald's Velvet. His hand at my waist, mine on his shoulder, bodies synced in wordless poetry. Intimacy was layers peeled gentle. Mornings waking tangled, coffee breaths mingling. Evenings debating politics, his conservatism tempered by my fire, compromised the spice. Conflict arose softer now. Life's frictions, not fractures. Ronan's mill laid off half in the recession. I pushed city relocation. He dug heels. Roots here, Eli. Our stories woven in this soil. Arguments flared hot, silences cold, but we'd circle back. Apologies over pie, forgiveness in touches. One blizzard night, snowdrifts high, power out. We huddled by lantern. "Sorry," he murmured, beard tickling my neck. "Scared of losing us to lights bigger." "Me too," I admitted. "But we're sturdy, like Dad's desk." Spring brought surprise. A letter from Ronan's estranged sister, Lila, long lost to California, post-divorce. "Saw your art in a mag. Always knew you had stories." She visited wiry and wry, eyeing our rings. "'Bout time." Over barbecue, she spilled family lore. Their folks' hypocrisy. Dad's visits to Ronan as Uncle Cover. Laughter healed old wounds. Her hug fierce. "Welcome, Eli." But emotion peaked fall. Anniversary 3. A road trip tracing Dad and Ronan's ghosts. First stop, the Ozarks cabin, sagging now, but we swept porches, grilled trout by the creek. "Here," Ronan said, voice thick, handing a flask, bourbon, Dad's brand, to Daniel, and the boy he made possible. Tears fell into the fire, embers hissing. "To us," I toasted. The rewrite. Des Moines Motel next, neon buzzing, where they'd hidden. We made love slow, not passion's blaze, but souls merge. Hands mapping histories, breaths prayers. Afterward, tangled sheets, Ronan confessed. "Feared this, loving you deeper than him, like replacing." I traced his jaw. "Not replace, expand. Love's infinite, remember?" He nodded, sleep claiming him peaceful. Me? I lay awake, gratitude swelling. For the man who'd watched me grow, now partner in full bloom. Back home, winter whispered change. Ronan's doc visit, cough lingering. "Bronchitis," he waved off, but tests piled, x-rays, scans. Verdict dropped like frost. "Lung cancer, stage 2, from mill dust and smoke's long quit." World tilted. "Treatable," oncologist assured, Iowa accent steady. "Chemo, radiation, we'd fight." Ronan joked grim over hospital jello. Beats Harlan's rallies. But nights, when nausea racked, he'd clutch my hand. "Don't let go, Eli." "Not yet." I didn't. Drove him to sessions, Des Moines traffic a blur. Cooked broths, read aloud from my journals. Our story, chapters unfolding. Town rallied quiet. Jenkins mowed our lawn. Hargrove baked lasagnas. Even Father O'Malley visited. Bible swapped for bourbon. God's got plans. And guts. Climax revisited. Not dramatic but devastating. A bad scan, Mets to liver. Prognosis shortened, months, maybe. Ronan took it stoic, but eyes betrayed fear. "Write it down," he urged one dawn. Weak but insistent, sun gilding his pallor. "Our tale, for whoever comes after." I did, pen flying. The hooks that hooked us, betrayals that bound. And the ending? I asked, voice cracking. He smiled faint, hand in mine. Human, messy, true. Spring returned, dogwoods defiant. Ronan weakened, bedbound, but lucid stories pouring. Vietnam letters he'd burned. A near outing in '87 that cost a job. Regrets? Few. You, Eli, best plot twist. Mom's journal joined ours, pages interleaved. Her grace mirroring his grit. Visitors streamed. Lila with grandkids, townies with tales. Harlan even came, cap in hands. Dan was brother. You too, Ronan. Sorry don't fix. But, does? Ronan rasped. Enough. His last week, Bluffside, hospice brought him home. Riverview. We sat swing-bound, oxygen hissing soft, my arm his pillow. Love you, he whispered, wind in willows sighing amen. Always, I replied, kiss to temple. He slipped at dusk, May 15th. Peaceful, hand slack in mine. Willow Creek mourned proper. Full pews, eulogies from foes turned friends. I spoke last, Ronan O'Leary. Wait. No, just Ronan, lover, fighter, heart of this town. He reshaped us all. Grief hollowed, but romance lingered. In sketches of his hands, rings on chain, the quarries gleam. Summer, I finished the series, Ronan's River exhibited Chicago-wide. Sales funded a scholarship for queer youth heartland dreamers. Ending humanistic, not tragic void, but legacy luminous. Dad's revelation sparked it. Betrayal to bridge, conflict to connection. I stayed in Willow Creek, studio thriving. Dates tentative with a teacher named Miles. Gentle eyes, no ghosts. But Ronan's ring? Worn always talisman. Love's story. Begins in stairs stolen, ends in freedoms won. And in the heartland hush, it echoes eternal.